Hi everyone. As promised, tutorial number 2 about why we do what we do. So last week I gave a bit of a general overview about behavior, why we do what we do, as I see it and address it. So I covered the mind, body, emotion system. And then I went into a little bit more about mind and thoughts and being the observer of our thoughts, who we actually are. And then I went through a bit of my journey and the tools that have helped me. So today I decided that I would want to focus on the mind, body, emotion system. Now, I refer to it as a system because that's what I believe it is. Different areas that are just all interacting constantly in order to function. And as I said last week, the goal for this system is to survive. And I also mentioned last week that I believe it is an open system. We are an open system, meaning we are influenced by the environment and we also influence the environment. So it's a two-way process. Now, my background is organizational behavior and development. So I obviously will have a view of these things in an organizational way. And so that's what I've decided to bring to you guys today, which is a perspective on the mind, body, emotion system, and to kind of invite you to look at it as though it is an organization, a company. So I think that it often helps when we have analogies and metaphors to grasp concepts and ideas. It makes it a little bit easier for some, and I will say in advance, I am overgeneralizing, I'm oversimplifying 100%. Many people will probably criticize this presentation of the human being as a system, but I think it might help a few of you, so I will go ahead and share this perspective with you. So if we are conscious awareness, the observer of our thoughts, the observer of our mind, thinking mind, then I'd like to invite you to imagine that we are the CEO of the company, the organization that is the mind, body, and emotion. So if the mind is, you could imagine it as marketing, sales, R&D, research and development, those departments. So they all work together, they all interact, and they're all based on, you know, the thinking, the creating, the ideas, the talking, the pitching, the selling them, etc. The planning. So marketing, sales, and R&D, that's the mind, those departments. Then the body is, for example, the production line, the manufacturing line, where materials come in and materials come out and things get made and processes are going on, etc. And the mind and the body constantly interacting with each other. What's going in, what's going where, what's happening, why is it happening, why this needs to happen at this time and this needs to happen at that time, etc., etc. The department's constantly in contact, like in a company, and they're constantly in contact in our human being. Then we have the emotion, which in our little metaphor here, our analogy, is represented by HR and customer service. So the job of HR is to look after the employees, the logistics, the legalities, the finance, and make sure everyone's getting the salaries that they need to be getting, and then also the well-being, the engagement, motivation, that everyone's happy so that the company can work really well. And then we have customer service dealing with the clients, the complaints, the issues, the problems. Now, in the real world, in companies, HR and customer service, I believe, are often neglected, underestimated with regards to the importance and the role that they actually do serve in a company's performance. I think that it's changing now, but until recently, it's very much been, you know, a new company won't even have an HR department until they've grown a bit. And customer service, often customer service representatives are totally undertrained, underskilled, under-equipped to handle the complaints. And I feel that this system also neglects the emotional aspect of the system. We don't want to deal with complaints. We don't want to deal with the difficult bits. We don't really even discuss it. We underestimate the importance of it. So I thought it was quite reflective, a bit parallel there. Now, but also the open system, as I mentioned earlier. So as an open system, a company as an open system means the economy will impact it, the politics will impact it, culture will impact it. And many companies, especially when they go international, they have to take these factors into account. You know, let's say it's a company and they also produce alcohol. Does the country that they're now branching out into allow alcohol? Is it legal, for example? McDonald's, when they, you know, moved into other countries, they had to factor in culture in various ways, also with the food, but also with the service and marketing and everything. So that's what I mean by open system, with regard to the environment impacting the system. And it's the same thing with the human being. Culture impacts us. Politics does, economy does. There's different stresses, there's different issues going on. We're constantly being bombarded with different messages, if it's from the media, if it's from just the weather, if it's toxic, toxicity in the air, in the water, whatever. We're constantly being impacted by our environments, something that isn't often taken into account. And then we also impact the environment, just like a company impacts the environment, what it puts out there. So that's what I mean by open system. Now, as the CEO of your company, when HR and customer service get overwhelmed or aren't given the resources that they need to function properly and to do their job, then you can imagine they would be unhappy, they would leave, they would quit, they would go on strike. The department doesn't look good, slowly collapses, it's overwhelmed. And then when you don't have HR and you don't have customer service and you are a mature company, things start malfunctioning because the other departments need these departments to be working and to be helping and to be informing. It's like the feedback loop. It's a huge part of the feedback loop, and suddenly it's missing. They don't know what is working. They don't know what isn't working. They're not getting paid on time. They're not getting their incentives. They're not getting, you know, their performance reviews. They're not, a lot of the things that the other departments need to function really, really need HR and customer service. It's a huge, huge part of the feedback loop. And when they're overwhelmed, it's like when we are overwhelmed emotionally, and that's when we experience trauma, for example, and we struggle to cope because we don't have the resources to manage. So the other departments start getting affected. The mind and the body start getting impacted as well. They get overwhelmed. They're trying to make up for what's missing. They're struggling without this department that they really, really depend on to function properly. So as the CEO, what do you do? And this, I think, is the big question and the big pivotal point that so many of us face when we're struggling, when our departments are overwhelmed and we're either getting sick mentally or physically. When things start malfunctioning, we're faced with a decision. As the CEO of our company, what do we do? Do we file for bankruptcy, close up, say we're done? You know, I can't do this. Or do we decide to step up to the plate and learn how to be the CEO that the company needs to get it functioning again? Do we go out there and seek the resources that we need to rebuild the departments that have collapsed or that are overwhelmed? Do we invest in the departments that need the investment? Do we rebuild the HR department and rebuild the customer service? Do we train the customer service representatives? And then do we find the right support and resources for the other departments so that they can, you know, reorganize and a lot of the time they need rest. These departments need vacation in order to kind of re-energize, recalibrate, and basically the way I see it is that when we really are ready to embark on a self-healing journey, it's when we're ready to step up and be CEO and say, I'm ready to take responsibility. I'm ready to be the leader. I'm ready to lead. I'm ready to learn how to meet my own needs and get the resources that I need in order to do that and function properly and succeed. And yes, that is essentially the analogy that I came up with that I hope might be a little bit, that I hope it might help for some of you to kind of get your head around what's going on. Because if we can look at it in a way that is far more familiar to us, like a company or, you know, with its departments, then it might make it that little bit easier to address and to really work on. So I invite you to have a look at your company and have a look whether you feel that your departments have all the resources, whether you're committed as a CEO, whether you're accessing the resources that you really need for the departments to work well, and to really learn what it is that you do need to function better. A bit of an inventory, I guess, of what's working, what's not working, reconnecting those feedback loops. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and I shall work on another video for next week. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for being here and for watching. I'm Emily Katz, the Self-Healing Consultant, and you can check my website for more resources and info, and my blog as well. And I really hope this helped. So yeah, let me know what you think. And thank you.